Everyone, it's Melissa Bishop, and I'm showing you today one of the projects that I'm working on. And this will help you whether you're doing botanical art, whether you're doing nature journaling. It's a good way to familiarize yourself with your paint and your tools and to understand how your paint works. Now, mine are not like super perfect, but here's my watercolor palette to begin with. We go over all the different paints that I have. This is raw sienna, cadmium yellow hue. I'm sorry, cadmium yellow pale, new gamboge, cadmium red, Windsor red. These are both warm reds. Viridian green, burnt sienna, and neutral tint. These are all Winsor Newton colors. And I sprayed my palette yesterday because I was working on my paint cards, and oh, you can't see that one. It smeared some of my paint. So back here is the neutral tint, and it smeared when I sprayed it, of course, because it got wet and it's watercolor. On this side of my palette, I have Hansa yellow, quinacridone gold, quinacridone red, rose, quinacridone rose, quinacridone magenta, quinacridone red, cerulean blue, phthalo blue green shade, French ultramarine blue. This is amethyst. It actually has amethyst stone crushed into it as the pigment, and so it has a little bit of a sparkle to it. And this is shade violet. This paint is one of the paints specifically recommended by John Muir Laws for doing shadows and things when you're out doing your nature journaling. So I made these little cards, and they're little squares for doing these. And what this is, I need to set it up a little bit so you can see it. There you go. How's that? So we're going to put it down, put it maybe a little bit closer so you can see it. There you go. This is the leg of my camera stand in the way there, making for a beautiful shot. There you go. Okay. This, as you can see, is new gamboge. Whoops. Oh. Just made it really, really huge. Please forgive me. I'm going to squish it down a little bit more. Okay. So this is new gamboge, Winsor Newton. And as you can see, there are a whole bunch of different things going on, and let me explain it to you. This is the full paint right out of the tube. See how it's kind of splotchy? I don't really like that. So this is full strength. A little bit of water on my brush to help spread the paint around, but I didn't pre-wet the surface of the paper. This I wet, and then I did a graduated painting of the pigment, thicker to thinner, to see how transparent it is, or if it's opaque. It's a fairly transparent paint. This is to kind of show how it moves around on the paper. It doesn't move that great. It's a little bit hard to spread out. This is to show the lifting and staining. And then what I'm going to do is get my eradicator brush. Okay, this little guy. I think I'm going to go in and get him wet and then scratch out some of the paint to see how well it lifts. This I lifted with a tissue paper. And then this is, I've noted that it's a warm yellow. It's moderately staining. Here are the pigment numbers. How light fast it is. It's a 2. I noted that it's splotchy coverage. What else? The name of it, it's a Winsor Newton. So I did that with New Gamboge, with burnt sienna. I even noted on there that I do not like it. I don't like how it moves. To me, it seems really grainy. Again, it's a brown yellow and it's all splotchy. When you put it down on the paper, I don't like that. I do, however, really enjoyed how my reds performed. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes if I have one piece of watercolor paper or 2. All right, so here is my reds. Winsor Newton Cadmium Red. It's beautiful. I love it. So I have all the same notes. Now, this spread so well. It was just so smooth getting it on. It did wonderful coverage. It's a little bit opaque. It's not super, super dark opaque, but it's certainly not transparent like this red. This is Winsor Red, which I love even more than the Cadmium Red. I put on here Purell Scarlet. It's a red. I think Purell Scarlet was created to replace cadmiums. And so this is also a warm red, which really kind of surprised me because to me it looks bluish. But it's a warm red, and this is very important when you go to mix watercolor to see who has blue and who has yellow or orange in the color, even though it's not necessarily an orange color, it can still have orange in it. Because when you go to mix colors, it helps to avoid creating mud if you know which colors have blue and which colors have orange, or which colors are cool and which colors are warm. So this is Winsor Newton Cadmium Yellow Pale. Oh, just so smooth here on the full coverage, then the gradation, my little spheroid to see how it moves. It was difficult for me to move it around. Here's my lifting it. Seriously, I did try to lift it. It's terrible. So I'm new to watercolor, and I don't know if it's the nature of the paint that makes it so difficult to lift, or if it's just difficult to lift. So yesterday when I was working with my brushes, I had a different brush, a cheap brush. This is not a cheap brush. Well, it is. I'm sorry. Cheaper. When I say cheap, I don't mean poor quality. It's a Princeton brush. I haven't really used one of these types of brushes. Oh, there. Oh, it wants to have the background in focus. I'm sorry. I just bought this at Hobby Lobby yesterday, along with this guy. So right now I'm just doing the exercises. I don't need a super awesome sable brush to do that with. Here's my palette. Billy Scholl, I took this idea from her. She has it all lined up with her colors and everything. Hers is a little bit different. Smaller piece of paper. And then, like I said, I had sprayed it and it smeared. I had covered it with an envelope the first time I sprayed it, and I forgot to the second time. And then when I'm ready, I just go ahead and close it. And then this I made when I was doing my botanical art class. Let me back up. Whoops. Back up a little bit. It is an acrylic wrist stand. So you put this down over your painting and your hand goes over it so that you don't smear what you're working on. Isn't that great? I made that. Haha. My little rubber feet, LRFs. My husband is the king of acronyms, 3-letter acronyms. That's it for today. A quick video. I still have all of these colors to do cards on as part of the exercises. I'm taking a watercolor class through Mindy Light Hype online. And so I have all this to do today. And she has a printout. I did mine from scratch because I don't have a printer I can print out watercolor paper on. So this is 140 weight watercolor paper. Sorry, washed my tongue this morning. I can't use it. Watercolor paper, hot press. And these are my little sample cards. It provides more information than what I had before. Before I just had done something like that. My little black line. This black line is to show how translucent or opaque, transparent or opaque your paint is. And I like this card better. It has more information on it. I want to show you why I like hot press paper. This is cold press paper, and I thought, oh, you know, it's cut into little 8x8 squares. It's so cute. It's Master's Touch. It'll be perfect for doing my exercises on. And I don't like the texture. I tried to use the back of the paper because it was smoother than the front. And the watercolor paint did not want to stick to it. So my little guys that I have there are, let's see, 3x3 square. So each one of these squares is 3x3 inches. And there you go. So I have these little templates of the colors, and so it gives me more information than just a quick little color swatch. I've written down all my little notes on it as to what I like, what I don't like. Then what I'm going to do is, I just want to show this to you real quick. It is a color mixing book. It's a watercolor mixing book. And Blue and Yellow Don't Make Green by Michael Wilcox. And I picked this one up from the library. However, I have also ordered one off of Amazon. And it tells you all the different colors, explains color wheel, why you would be mixing mud, which is why, remember how I said you need to know if your colors are warm or cool. And the reason for that, it goes into color theory and everything. And the reason for that is certain colors, when you mix them, they make browns, and certain colors, when you mix them, don't. And so there's more to mixing color than just red, blue, green. Red, blue, green. Nope, sorry. Green is red, blue, yellow. Sorry, red, blue, yellow. Yes, I am an artist with a brain cramp. So in this practical work, the exercise is to mix cadmium yellow, cadmium red light, ultramarine blue. And this is your color chart. And he says you can add white to the paint to make it lighter, or just water. And it just goes through everything and how to mix it and how to understand color theory on a more in-depth level. And I do like this a lot better. I've had videos where people say, oh, you know, you don't really need to understand color theory, you just mix what you see. And that's not exactly true. So you have to understand things a little bit better than what you learned in school when you become an artist, especially if you weren't paying attention in school. Don't be afraid of a color mixing book. Get out there and purchase one. This is for watercolor, but it will work for oils. It'll work for acrylics. If you use artist grade, don't use cheap paint. You will not be happy with cheap paint. You don't have to buy the most expensive paint on the market. My paint is a mixture of Winsor Newton and Daniel Smith. And that's fine. That works great for me. But I wouldn't do, well, I'm not going to say names because I don't want people to get angry, but I would not do student grade oil paint, and I would not do student grade watercolor or acrylic. If you do acrylic, I can't do acrylic, so I break out in hives, and then my throat starts to close up. It's a pretty bad allergy. So there you go. Watercolor mixing. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to a site, a YouTube channel. It's called The Mind of Watercolor, I believe. And his name is David, and I will put a link to his site. It's a wonderful site. I will also put a link to Mindy Light Hype. She's the one that I'm actually paying to take watercolor course through on her website. And at first I thought, oh, I don't want to do these exercises. Ugh, you know, who wants to do drills? But it's working, and I'm really understanding my watercolor paint. So if you're looking for something comprehensive that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, Mindy's, I think, is really reasonable, and David's is free. So there you go. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe. Let's get this channel growing. Bye-bye.